Hey teacher friend, welcome back to my channel. A few months ago, I did a video about how a Teachers Pay Teachers product helped me win a bird watching trip to Maine with my school district. And in that video, I explained how I created the product and ultimately how I got sponsored by my school district and by the MO Audubon Society to go study birds in Maine. So I'll put that video in the description box if you want to go back and watch that one if you're curious and didn't get a chance to see it. It's worth watching because it'll probably inspire you to start creating TPT products and maybe you can win a trip too. So I just got back from Maine and I wanted to break down the trip for you so you could come bird watching with me and learn about all the cool things I got to do. So the first day that we left, our flight went out really early. My dad and I decided to go to St. Louis the night before, and we were at the airport at probably before 5:30 a.m. Our flight got canceled. So we were stuck in St. Louis until at least 3:30 or 4, and that put us in Portland, Maine at 12:30 midnight. So that really stunk because then we had to get a hotel room and stay the night in Portland, and we missed almost a full day of the camp, which ended up being kind of awkward because then we were known as the people that were late, and we had to explain that story probably 25 times because that's the first conversation point that people had with us was, hey, aren't you the guys from Missouri that missed your flight? We didn't miss our flight. It got canceled because of mechanical errors. So something to be aware of right now with traveling. So anyways, we got acclimated and we were taken to our cabin, and our cabin was really awesome because it was private. My school district did pay for me to go. My dad had to pay for himself. However, the room I would have had to stay in would have been a big bunkhouse with other people, and since my dad was coming with me, I paid extra for us to have our own private cabin with our own restroom, because in the bunkhouse, you had to go outside to go to the bathroom, and I'm not super prissy, but I also really like having a bathroom in my room. So we had a beautiful view, and it overlooked the island that we were on. So we were on an island called Hog Island, and you had to take a water taxi over to get to it, and the view was just spectacular and the weather was amazing. The only thing I would note, if you ever decide to go on this trip, they do tell you in the packing list to bring a sleeping bag, and I did not because I didn't want to pack that, but it got pretty cold at night and they don't have heating or air conditioning inside of their cabins, so something to note. Anyways, so we were there from Monday. We were supposed to be there on Sunday, but we were there from Monday until Friday, and every day was kind of jam-packed like a regular summer camp, which was funny because I grew up watching The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan, and I always thought it would be really cool to go to summer camp as a kid, and I just never got to go. So I got to go to one as an adult, and they really do structure every part of your day. They have group breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The food was absolutely amazing. If you're a foodie, it was amazing. They had a chef that they brought in, and they made the most healthy, delicious meals, and they were very accommodating. So that was really a great part of it because when you're so busy doing activities all day, you do work up quite a bit of hunger. So some of the activities that we got to do was a whole day of field ornithology. That was the camp that we chose to go to. So I learned things like how to actually spot birds. Many of the birders that were there were very advanced. So I felt like such a newbie because I'm not insanely into bird watching. I had just created the bird watching unit with my students and they loved it. And so I decided to enter the contest with my school district to get to study birds. And the whole point for me was to learn more things about birds that I could take back to my students, especially now that I'm switching to 5th grade. So there were times that I felt kind of like a fish out of water, but they made it really easy for you to kind of understand things. They broke it down. The teachers were all employed by the National Audubon Society, and then there was even a professor there from a school in New York who teaches field ornithology. So they were all experts, so friendly and helpful, and really into their jobs, which is perfect. So we got to learn about what it looks like to go into the field and actually study birds and observe them. I had to buy a pair of binoculars for this, which was fine because I do like to use them when I'm out in nature anyways. And that was really neat to actually learn how to use binoculars and find birds and identify them. One thing they tell you to bring is a field guide for birding so you can identify birds. And one of the classes I took while I was there was how to identify different birds with the professor of field ornithology. She also did a kind of an hour-long crash course into the basics of Field Ornithology 101, which just means the study of birds. So that was cool to kind of feel like I was back in college days and learning with other people and hearing all the great questions that people had about birding and birds in general. So one of the days we went out to an island and we were gone all day and we were looking for the puffins, which are my favorite bird, which I think all of the birders that have done this for a while would kind of scoff at that because they are more into like different looking birds and with crazy different names. And to me, I'm just basic. The puffins are adorable. They were my favorite. That was the highlight of it. And then we went to a private island and got to learn how to do bird banding, which is where they put the little tracking devices around the birds so that they can keep track of their migration patterns. And that was really neat to see. And the professor that was doing that training even told us that she had caught one of her own birds that she had banded in a different country and she was in a different spot when she caught it. So it's just really cool to actually study how far these birds can go and their migration patterns. So that was one of the days. Another day, like I said before, as we had a crash course in field ornithology and we got to learn all the basics of that. And another day we went out on an adventure of going birding into the forest, and we even got to go to a bog, which was really neat to see that ecosystem. There was a lot of carnivorous plants and different types of wildlife that I don't see living in Missouri, so that was also very neat to see. So jam-packed days. Every day of the week there was something going on, and at night they always had some kind of instructional meeting where you got to listen to a guest speaker or learn something new. They went over the schedule for the next day so you were prepared and knew what to bring, and it was very thorough and well done. And if you're anything into nature, you want to learn more about birds, I would highly recommend finding out if your school district does support teachers and paying for this trip, because there were teachers in this camp from all over the US, and I was surprised how many different people got sponsored to go there. It seemed like it was pretty rare that somebody was there just on their own dime. There were some older retired people like my father and then other people that were there that were retired that were paid for themselves to go because it was kind of like a bucket list trip for them. But many teachers were there being supported by their school district. So I encourage you to look that up and look into the National Audubon Society if you are interested in birding, because you can join them and your state chapter probably has one. And that's, again, how I got sponsored. My school district and the Missouri Audubon Society sponsored me to go. So check out that video that I posted, like I said, in the description box if you want to learn more about how I won. All right, well, I hope this gives you an inside look into what it was like to go birding in Maine for a week. And if you're at all interested in learning more about this trip, you can send me a message in the comments and I will answer anything if you're curious about any little detail of the trip that I didn't include in this video. And I hope you found it interesting, and give it a thumbs up if you learned anything about field ornithology just from this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.